Hello. This is Vergola, and this is a very drivey Pop in the Life. So I'm very sorry if you're gonna hear noises that are not compatible with a walk in the park. By the way, did you know that Mom's first startup was actually called Walk in the Park? Whip app. She was actually doing stuff for parking spots. Sorry, I'm gonna switch the mic. Cool. She was doing stuff for parking spaces, parking spots, IoT shit. Well, this is a story for another time. Not now. But once the startup failed and, like 14 reasons, it was like just everything crumbled down to pieces. And in all honesty, no, it's not. You're going to find something to do. You're going to figure it out eventually. Anyways, the topic for today is Mom had a pretty interesting day yesterday in Milan, where 2 out of 3 people she met, she was actually talking about investments in the company and gave her like pretty interesting perspectives. Very, I wouldn't say contrarian, but kind of different with respect to what usually she hears from people in general in the industry, and especially from probably even her own investors. This is not to razz to investors, but sometimes like it's not so easy to just find let's say pure information. So it means that it's filtered out from the many things that you're actually not interested in saying. So what do I mean by this? That once you say that poker players have a big hand in business and can do very well in business, it's because many times, and I would say 100% of the time, you are handling relationships based on the asymmetry of information. And that's also the reason why people buy shit. It's like you would never buy services if you would never buy website services if you knew how to build a website. You would never, buy bread if you actually had the time and the knowledge on how to do bread. You're also going to do it on convenience, but price is mostly thought as, especially in immaterial items such as the software, for example, or services in general, as something that relates to the asymmetry of information. And asymmetry of information is also something that you experience quite a lot with your own investors and the people that give you info about investors. So the only thing that you can do to level up your level of information and the quantity of information is actually talking to as much people as you can. It's not easy. It's not obvious. It's still something that's clearly needed from anyone who's trying to embark on a startup journey, whether you think you're going to get to bootstrap all the way out or all the way in, like depending on what's your goal. And also like if you think you're actually going for investments all the way through the VC world. And the thing with that is that once you think about how and what exactly investors tell you, you need to trim down quite a lot, because that question and that answer really depends on how you frame the question and how they want you to perceive the answer. So imagine that there is nothing that you can know that is sure 100%. It's all going to be opinion based until any type of contract is signed. So then I'm going to say to you, well, that's with a contract, that's a fact. So the thing is that you need to understand how to play poker. And the best thing is try to reduce that asymmetry of information by gathering information from much more sources than your only one point of contact, which is something that's very counterintuitive to say. Or maybe it's very intuitive at the same time, because, well, that is freaking obvious. But at the same time is something that not so many people are willing to do. Why? Because it takes time, and because it takes like the humility to put yourself in a situation in which you're not the person with answers and you're not the person in power. You admit that you don't have a position of power, so that's why you're asking for help. And asking for help means talking with some other investor, means trying to understand if that specific investor or fund has somebody else whom which you can talk to, and if that is possible for you because it's not obvious, and exactly what is moving them, which state is the fund in, what's their timing and whatnot. So there are many things that you can consider out in the strategy, but that all point to one single thing, which is you desperately need to understand exactly which type of poker match these people are playing. And it is very evident by saying this that you are probably also going to be one that plays a poker game, that plays a poker match with these people as well. So you might try and see different options. You might want to try to explore other people's cards. The reason is that the most times you do it, the more times you do it, the best you become at it, and the better you are at handling the situations of information asymmetry. Now, this can be applied to many different things. For example, with clients as well, and leads, for example, it's a bit easier to do it with them because you can test it out way more, and because there is less at stake usually. It's not always like that, but usually it's like that. And so, yeah, the thing is, you need to become a poker player, metaphorically speaking, even, because otherwise you wouldn't really be able to understand that this is not about being 100% in belief of what they're telling you and 100% in sincerity in how you frame things. It's very hard to communicate in the same language as an investor if you are actually thinking of a business and as a business person, except when these people are actually business owners or former business owners as well, or business operators too. So you need to switch languages, and we already spoke about it in the previous podcast. So don't be surprised about the fact that you surely need to switch languages, but mostly you also need to understand that everything they're telling you is potentially not all true. And not because they don't want to tell it to you, sometimes it is, but it's not most of the times. It's that you're living in a framework, in a language, you're playing such a match has different rules than the other games you played before. It's very hard to remember. Mom always tries to know it at the best of her abilities all the time, and use your own skills and try to develop the skills that you don't have. Not easy, but at the same time, it's very necessary. And I repeat it again. You might just be also very interested in bootstrapping and not having to talk with investors, but at the same time, it's pretty good to have the ability to understand exactly how the company could perform in the VC market and how attractive is that, and what are your options of exiting at some point in time, or even now, like depending on what you really want. So remember, you are playing a poker game. That's all you're doing. And going back to the beginnings of this podcast, remember that it doesn't end. So if it doesn't end and you're actually playing, just like Alex Hormozi says, you're playing an infinite game, means that you're actually just playing a hand in a very long game. Way longer than you expect. So go play poker now. Now Mom is going to an event, and let's see if she wins the prize. Don't say anything for now. I will just send you kisses, hugs, a bit of barks, and my wish for a good game for you, and especially a good hand for now.